First one.
So I'm doing a presentation on the mayor's recommendation for the consolidated plan, and this year is a very special year. We've got the 5-year plan as well as the 1-year action plan. So Steve, if you wouldn't mind, thank you. The 5-year consolidated plan process is kind of like a 5-year future-focused plan, looking to kind of take everything that we do into one single community development strategy, using consultation with our community agencies that we do business with, as well as citizen participation. And it kind of like outlines the future focus look at our CDBG, home, and ESG funding for the next 5 years. So it's 2015 to 2019. 2 large parts make up the 5-year plan, one of which is this needs assessment, which is currently available online. It's a very large document, 100-page type of thing, housing market analysis, a whole bunch of data. It's currently on the city's homepage. The second part, which is more or less what I'm going to be mostly talking about today, is the proposed funding allocations for this upcoming year, the federal fiscal year starting in July. Keep going. The 5-year plan looks to kind of take all the strategies from different areas, different category allocations, in terms of like housing, neighborhood revitalization, public works, public service, emergency solutions, which is everything to do with homelessness prevention, population services, and also economic development, which meet the city's defined outcome and goals, which were outlined in the citizen participation plan this year, as well as in our public hearings when we got citizen participation input. Thank you. Now, I took what we had before in terms of Dick used to show this very nice chart. I wanted to kind of condense it to show the difference in funding year to year the last couple of years. So the biggest thing to show is from 2013, 2014, 2015, you kind of go from 2.5 million, pop up a bit, and we're back down. We're back down, we're going to probably keep going down. So that's been the struggle for us in trying to determine the funding allocations this year. Is last year we kind of had a robust amount of money. This year we had a $700,000 decrease. So this is our anticipated available funding for this year. It includes each of the funding streams for a total of $2.6 million. We are proposing to fund 31 projects. And these are the HUD allocations, and then including the prior year recaptured funds, which is not a huge balance, $42,000 and change, and then also program income for the Home Investment Partnerships Program, which is $8,000. And again, just trying to show the difference in the funding, I broke it out upon each of the different funding streams. You can see that everything other than ESG, and ESG went up just a little bit, everything went down, including home. Home went down by 17% nationally. So we're taking quite a bit of a cut in our housing assistance programs. So without further ado, these are the funding allocations proposed for this year. So starting with the category, economic development. The community loan fund of the capital region was funded last year. This is to fund the operation of the satellite office, the Albany Street Business Center. The organization's been doing great work. They provide lending, training, and technical assistance to low, moderate income individuals and organizations. The emergency solutions funding, again, this is our homelessness funding. Bethesda House, for their homeless housing eviction prevention program. This is to more or less prevent homelessness and assist those rather than getting evicted to kind of maintain some stabilized housing. The day program drop-in is a day program for homeless, disabled, and disadvantaged individuals in our community. Both of the CARES things, the Homeless Management and Information System, otherwise known as HMIS, and also the Continuum of Care Administration. This is our city match to CARES to administer a regionalized continuum of care, which is our homelessness services, as well as to do the Homeless Management Information System, more or less a database where a bunch of information goes in relative to our homeless populations regionally. So it's for a little bit more structured regional planning. The Safe House is to pay for salaries and fringe of a manager and street outreach worker to do the temporary shelter there for youth. And then SCAP, the Homeless Prevention and Rapid Rehousing Program, also prevention of homelessness, but this particularly is related to kind of court and legal related assistance. When we get to public works, we've got code enforcement. This is just to do regular program delivery. Office of General Services is for the SNAP stuff. the crews that go out and work on the housing and the related neighborhood work. This is an offset of departmental costs through CDBG allowed uses. The Department of Development's Community Development Program Delivery offsets the program delivery staff costs out of my office. Engineering Department is the Street Rehabilitation Program, otherwise fondly known as the paving program. This year it will pay for 0.45 miles to be rehabilitated. And the Section 108 loan guarantee, this is something you'll be seeing every year. This is our annual payoff of our 108 loan. Neighborhood revitalization, the first one is BNI's housing counseling program. It's better to know that. They're the only HUD certified housing counseling program in the area, so we like to fund their program. We get a lot of business. Hamilton Hill Arts Center Project Outreach, that's also something that we've funded before. The funding for this helps to offset the executive director's salary to kind of do the programming there. This is the same amount that was proposed last year. And the MCTAP Technical Support Services, that's also the same amount as last year. And that program and organization provides technical support services for minority contractors. In terms of public service, these are all across the board funded, being proposed to be funded at the same amount as last year. So Boys and Girls Club, it's to do the park programs at both Quackenbush and Steinmetz Park in terms of the park management. Capital District Center for Independence is the Office of Disability Services, which is in the ground floor of this building. They're open 5 days a week. They provide a lot of assistance to our disadvantaged population here. The Youth Bureau, kind of connected back up to the Boys and Girls Club, is for the Hillhurst and Steinmetz Park programs for the summer. Second Summer Lunch Program, which is obviously very well known. And the police, to fund 4 officers in terms of community policing in our low income neighborhoods. The YMCA is the Jerry Burrell Park program over the summer, which also has nighttime basketball. And the YWCA, which is to operate the East Front Street Pool. Housing assistance is where we took the largest cut, so just keep that in mind. Bethesda's Rapid Housing and Eviction Program, it has to be funded through the home dollars. And it actually provides housing and eviction prevention services to individuals. Later on down the line here, SCAP does that to families. So they're like the same program, just geared towards different groups. BNI and Community Land Trust both get administrative and operating costs through our office. This is through the home and CDBG dollars. They are a CHODO. They get set aside funding through HUD because they are a CHODO. So this is a 5% cap that we're allowed to provide them in terms of their operating costs. The BNI Homeowner Renovation Program, it's phase 2 of a program that was funded last year. So to kind of offset, they kind of didn't quite realize the level of funding that they're going to need for the program. So we're kind of bumping them up to have a phase 2 to complete the whole program. Community Land Trust, the Housing Counseling Administration, that's their housing counseling program, which is a little bit different than BNI's. It's specific to the land trust model. And down further, their homeowner occupied rehabilitation program. That's something that's been being funded for quite a few years now. They go in and they do a lot of rehabilitation of the house for people who actually like own a home, live in a home. It's a great program. Habitat for Humanity's Cary Street Townhomes is a proposal that we're working with the land bank on to do the conversion of some houses over there. They're demolishing them and making them into townhomes. It's a great project. And we just talked about SCAP, and SHDFC is the second mortgage program, which is a normal thing to be funded. Every year, it's a great way to help offset people with closing costs and down payment assistance. And last but not least is administration. This is the first 2 were to offset departmental costs, to offset my department, and also finance that does some of our reporting back to HUD for us. And then also our contract with the Schenectady County Office of Affirmative Action, the contract for affirmative action, minority, women, business, enterprise compliance relative to contracts and also recruitment. So our 30-day comment period begins on Thursday, lasts through May 8th. And all written comments are to be submitted to my department, the Department of Development, and I'll have a slide at the end to show kind of where to send it. But I did want to point out we have a public hearing scheduled, and tonight we're calling for a public hearing. It'll be held on April 27th, which is during a regularly scheduled City Council meeting at 7 p.m. in the Council chambers. To hear any comments, cetera, relative to the proposed plans, both plans, the action plan and the 5-year plan. And that's my contact information.
Questions? Ms. Porterfield?
For housing, for both BNI and for Community Land Trust, there's under the comments it says includes city program delivery costs.
Yes.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
We're allowed to use a certain amount of percentage to more or less utilize our departmental staff to do the reporting and things for them. So we're able to kind of draw down a little bit of money out of that. So it's a little fraction of the total that would offset a person in my office kind of doing reporting work for their program.
Okay. And even if you don't have it today, could you just give me what that percentage of the
Absolutely.
administrative cost and that would be? Also, in terms of, all the different groups that are being funded, is there something in place where we'll know kind of before the end of the year, at least the council will know, I know they have to submit their quarterly reports. Is there something in place, or could you put something in place where we would kind of be able to keep track of how they're doing with their programming?
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff Fun in my office does keep track of that.
Yes.
He's kind of got a ton of different spreadsheets that he could probably make into some kind of quarterly report or, biannual report we could show you or something like that. So, for probably maybe a discussion item at another point of when you would like to see that, but yeah. Each of the people we're proposing to fund have been, meeting benchmarks. We did a huge evaluation component in terms of when we took in the applications. A big part of that was Jeff and also our finance department's write-up of whether or not they do their drawdowns on time, all the kind of things that go along with reporting and making sure that we're also doing our obligation to HUD. So, Kes?
Yeah. In terms of the benchmarks, who decides? Do they make their own benchmarks and then decide so many, or do we look at it and say this is, this needs to be different, we need to see something different than what they suggested should be a benchmark?
They kind of start that process, but then we tailor it with them because we know what we need to do to make sure that what goes to HUD is something that's approved by HUD.
Mm-hmm.
We have an online system called IDIS, and things go in there and get flagged if they're not okay and not meeting certain standards. So we work kind of hand in hand with each of the organizations to make sure that what we're asking them to do is something that they, one, can do, and then two, will meet the requirements by HUD.
Okay. Other questions? All right, so if not, then I'll entertain a motion to call for the public hearing on Monday, April 27th. Okay, moved by Mr. Ferrari, second by Ms. Porterfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.